Did anyone know that the president was going to use the word genocide in his remarks? It seemed like a passing remark or passing reference in a broader conversation about inflation.
Well, he's the President of the United States and the leader of the free world, and he is allowed to make his views known at any point he would like.
So it was not scripted then? It wasn't pre-planned?
Again, I think we shouldn't misunderstand who he is and where he stands in the totem pole, which is at the top.
3 times now the president has made comments about the war that the White House or he himself subsequently said did not reflect U.S. policy or legal determination when he... Does this not send a signal to the world that there kind of is an asterisk next to anything that the president says?
Well, when the president ran, he promised the American people he would shoot from the shoulder, is his phrase that he often uses, and tell it to them straight. And his comments yesterday, not once but twice, the president was calling it like he sees it, and that's what he does.
Senator Schumer at a virtual event on student debt today said that he's talked personally to the president, quote, a whole bunch of times, and talking about canceling student debt. He said, "We're making progress, folks. We are making progress. The White House seems more open to it than ever before." Has the president had conversations with Senator Schumer, and is he moving on this issue where he's more open to the idea of
the president's always been happy to sign a bill into law passed by Congress that would cancel $10,000 in student debt.
Have led that Governor Abbott has been conducting have led to disruptions for the food and automobile supply chains and rising prices for families. So is the White House blaming Greg Abbott for inflation?
Well, I think we're trying to state the facts of what another political stunt that we're seeing happen and the impact of it. And with these unnecessary inspections of trucks transiting ports of entry between Texas and Mexico are significant delays, which are resulting in a drop in commercial traffic. CBP officers are very good at their jobs, and Texas DPS does not need to replace CBP at the southern border.
The issue with Greg Abbott, is the White House planning to do anything to alleviate the supply chain disruptions or pressure him into rescinding the order?
Well, obviously our preference is that he rescinds the order, and our effort today was to highlight what the impact is and how this is not a step that is in immigration policy or addressing root issues at the border. This is
Liberals will try to compare what's going on now to 100 years ago when immigrants came to the United States. The difference between then and today is today we have a welfare system. A large number of children, those children are automatically become on welfare. They get Medicaid, which is free health care. They're going to get free education. They're going to get free housing. They're going to get free food. And, this is a burden on the American taxpayers.
These are Venezuelan and Nicaraguan migrants who have applied for asylum in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Has the administration been in touch with these migrants? Or
the migrants who have traveled on the bus from Texas? Well, they're all in immigration proceedings, those who traveled on the bus, and so certainly that would mean they're in touch with the appropriate entities. And
even if these migrants wanted to get out of Texas, do you find it troubling that the Texas governor used them as props to make a political point to the White House? Do you worry that this might reinforce the narrative that profiles
Well, I called it the other day a publicity stunt by Governor Abbott and made clear.
Migrants who just arrived to Washington, D.C. from Texas. What do you make of the situation? Governor Abbott actually sending migrants to Washington, D.C. like he said he would.
Good for Governor Abbott. I strongly encourage Governor Ducey in Arizona to do the same.
She said that it's good that Governor Abbott is helping these illegal immigrants get to their final destination. And she also talked about how they're in the process of, their immigration proceedings as they await their court hearing. But you just have to wonder, will they be? And if they stay in the country under this administration, is ICE going to be going after them?
No. And remember, 3% of the illegals are actually showing up for their court dates.
Do you think that there is any danger to global leaders, including Vladimir Putin, to Olaf Scholz, if they can't be sure when they hear words coming out of the president's mouth, whether he is stating a personal opinion versus making a statement about U.S. policy?
Do you have an example of somebody who's confused? A leader?
Well, I think my colleague brought up Emmanuel Macron responding and saying, the use of the language genocide he sees as a rhetorical escalation.
Can you tell us when should we interpret his words as his reaction versus U.S. policy?
He's the President of the United States. He speaks for the United States. There's also a legal review and process that is important to take place.
Expect, or should the public expect sort of more of these kind of short-term extensions?
It's a good question. I just don't want to make a prediction of that. I think it depends on how they evaluate and assess the data over the course of the next 2 weeks, and they're trying to provide regular, transparent updates. I think it's unlikely that that President Putin is going to decide not to participate in peace talks because of some words that came out of the mouth of the President of the United States. He's going to decide to participate in them if it's in his interest.
People just want an end point. Do you have one to give them?
What I can say is that people deserve to know that their president, that our administration is concerned enough to do something about it. And so that is what we are doing.
A lot of people go to the store and don't feel that their wages are going as far as they want them to. Then they get mad at the gas station. They're focusing a lot of that on the White House, but they're still putting that anger with the administration. What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, I acknowledge, one must acknowledge, that prices are going up and that people are working hard and in many cases are worried about whether they can get through the end of the month and make it all work.